Hello, my friends. Welcome back. I am so happy you are here with me today. So find a quiet place, get comfortable, and let your mind travel somewhere far away. Because today, we are not going to talk about a perfect life. We are going to talk about a complicated life, a painful life, a brilliant life. A life that made millions of people cry, laugh, argue, and love football more than they ever thought possible. This is the story of Diego Maradona. El Pibe de Oro, the Golden Boy. If you enjoy learning English through real stories about real people, make sure you follow storyline icons. Every story is a new lesson, and every lesson helps you grow. Now, let us begin. Our story starts in a place most people have never heard of. A shantytown on the outskirts of Buenos Aires, Argentina. A place called Villa Fiorito. Villa Fiorito was poor, very poor. The streets were muddy. The houses were small and cramped. Families struggled every single day just to survive. On the 30th of October 1960, Diego Armando Maradona was born there. He was the fifth of 8 children. His father, Diego Sr., worked in a factory. His mother, Doña Tota, took care of the family and the home. Life was difficult, but the family was close, and love was never missing. When Diego was just 3 years old, he received his first football as a gift, and from that moment, he never put it down. He played in the muddy streets of Villa Fiorito with his friends. Sometimes they had a real ball. Sometimes they used a rolled-up rag tied with string. It did not matter. Diego played with everything, and he played better than anyone around him. Even as a very small boy, people stopped and watched. When Diego was 10 years old, he joined the youth team of Argentinos Juniors. There, something extraordinary happened. He led his team to a 136-game unbeaten streak. 136 matches without losing. As a 10-year-old boy, the youth coach who first saw Diego could not believe what he was watching. He said Diego played with the ability of an adult. Word began to spread across Buenos Aires. There is a boy in Villa Fiorito. You have to see him. You will not believe it. And a name followed him everywhere he went. El Pibe de Oro, the Golden Boy. On the 20th of October, 1976, just 10 days before his 16th birthday, Diego made his professional debut for Argentinos Juniors. After the match, Diego said something that stayed with him forever. He said, "That day, I felt I had held the sky in my hands." He was 15 years old, and he already knew this was his life. This was his destiny. In 5 years at Argentinos Juniors, Diego scored 115 goals in 167 appearances. He was the top scorer in the Argentine League 5 times. 5 times. Argentina was in love. The whole country wanted to see El Pibe de Oro. In 1978, Argentina hosted the FIFA World Cup, and Argentina won it. But Diego Maradona was not there. The coach felt that Diego was still too young to be included in the squad. Diego was 17 years old. He was heartbroken. He cried, but he made himself a promise. he would be at the next World Cup. And when he got there, the whole world would know his name. In 1981, Diego moved to Boca Juniors, one of the most famous clubs in Argentina. He helped them win the league title in his one season there. And then Europe came calling. In 1982, Maradona transferred to FC Barcelona in Spain for £5 million. It was a world record transfer fee at the time. Barcelona was a big club, a famous club, but life in Spain was not easy for Diego. He suffered a serious leg injury from a brutal tackle. He battled illness, and off the pitch, he began to make choices that would follow him for the rest of his life. But on the pitch, even injured and struggling, there were moments of pure genius that made everyone stop breathing. In 1984, Maradona moved to Napoli in Italy for a new world record fee of £6.9 million. And this move would change everything. When Diego Maradona arrived in Naples, the city went absolutely wild. A local newspaper wrote that despite the city lacking schools, buses, and employment, none of that mattered. Because they had Maradona, Naples was a city in the south of Italy. For years, the big clubs from the north had dominated Italian football. The south was always second, always forgotten, always looked down upon. And then Diego arrived. Diego understood something immediately. These people needed him, not just as a footballer, as a symbol, as proof that the South could win, that the forgotten ones could rise. Diego gave everything to Naples. He played every match as if his heart depended on it. With Maradona, Napoli won the Serie A league title in 1987. Then the league title again in 1990. They also won the Coppa Italia and the UEFA Cup. Naples had never won Serie A in their entire history. Not once. And Diego won it for them twice. The people of Naples did not just love Diego Maradona. They worshipped him. There were murals of his face on the walls of the city. People named their children after him. He was not a footballer to them. He was a god. But all of this was building toward one moment, one tournament, one summer, one stage. The 1986 FIFA World Cup in Mexico. Argentina arrived with Diego Maradona as their captain. He was 25 years old. He was at the absolute peak of his powers. Argentina played beautifully. Diego controlled everything. He saw passes no one else could see. He dribbled past defenders as if they were not there. He made the impossible look simple. And then came the match that the entire world remembers. The quarter-final. Argentina versus England. This was not just a football match. 4 years earlier, Argentina and England had fought a real war over the Falkland Islands. Hundreds of people had died. The pain was still fresh. The wounds were still open. For Diego, this was personal. In the second half, Diego received the ball in the penalty area. He jumped, and he punched the ball into the net with his left hand. The referee did not see it. The goal was given. After the match, a journalist asked Diego about the goal, and he said something that became one of the most famous quotes in football history. He said the goal was scored a little with the head of Maradona and a little with the hand of God. The hand of God. The whole world talked about it. Some were furious. Some laughed. Everyone remembered. And then, just 4 minutes later, Diego did something that made the entire world forget the controversy. He received the ball in his own half of the pitch. He turned and he ran. He dribbled 60 meters, gliding past 5 English players before slipping the ball into the back of the net. The stadium fell silent for 1 second, and then it exploded. Commentators lost their words. Players stopped moving. Even England players stood and stared. It was later voted the goal of the century by FIFA, the greatest goal ever scored in a World Cup. In one match, 2 goals, one with his hand, one with his feet. Controversy and genius side by side. That was Diego Maradona. Argentina reached the final. They faced West Germany. Despite heavy marking, Maradona led Argentina to a 3-2 victory. He was named the best player of the entire tournament. Argentina were world champions, and Diego Maradona had carried them there almost alone. After 1986, Diego remained one of the most famous people on the planet. But off the pitch, things were getting darker. The pressure was enormous. Everywhere he went, people wanted a piece of him. Fans followed him. Cameras followed him. He could not walk down the street. He could not eat a meal in peace. And Diego, who had grown up poor and wild in the streets of Villa Fiorito, did not know how to handle this world. He began drinking more, and his cocaine addiction grew into something much bigger and more dangerous. In 1991, he was arrested in Argentina for cocaine possession. He received a 15-month suspension from football. The world watched. Some judged. Many were heartbroken. But Diego did not disappear. He fought. He came back. He always came back. He played in the 1990 World Cup in Italy, carrying a foot injury, and still guided Argentina to the final. They lost to West Germany. But Diego had done it again. He had taken an ordinary team and carried them further than anyone expected. In 1994, at the World Cup in the United States, Diego tested positive for a banned substance. He was sent home. His international career was over. He sat in front of the cameras, and he cried. Real tears. From a real man who knew that something was ending that could never come back. Diego Maradona played his last professional match on the 25th of October, 1997, for Boca Juniors. He was 36 years old. After retirement, life remained complicated. He struggled with his health. He struggled with his addictions. He went in and out of hospital. But he never stopped loving football. He could not. In 2008, he became the coach of the Argentina national team. He coached Argentina at the 2010 World Cup in South Africa. They were eliminated by Germany. And Diego cried again on the touchline, in front of the cameras, in front of the world. He did not hide his tears. He never did. In his later years, he coached small clubs in Mexico and Argentina. He was not coaching for money or fame. He was coaching because football was the only thing that had always made him feel fully alive. On the 25th of November, 2020, Diego Armando Maradona passed away at his home in Argentina. He died from a heart attack. He was 60 years old. The reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Argentina declared 3 days of national mourning. The streets of Buenos Aires filled with people weeping openly. In Naples, fans gathered at the murals of his face on the city walls. They placed flowers and candles below his image. Players from every generation shared messages. Messi, Ronaldo, Pelé, leaders and presidents, ordinary people everywhere. Because Diego Maradona was not just a footballer. He was something much rarer. He was real. He was human. He was flawed and brilliant, and broken and beautiful. And people felt all of that when they watched him. He made you love him, even when he was wrong. And so, my friends, we come to the end of our journey through the life of Diego Maradona. We traveled from the muddy streets of Villa Fiorito, where a small boy kicked a football and dreamed of something bigger. We saw him dazzle Argentina. We saw him conquer Naples. We saw 2 of the most famous goals ever scored in a World Cup. And we saw a man who gave everything to the game and paid a very heavy price for it. Diego Maradona was not a perfect man. He never claimed to be. He made mistakes, big ones. He hurt people. He hurt himself. But what he gave to football, what he gave to the world, was something no one can take away. He showed us that greatness does not come from a perfect life. Greatness comes from a real one. And to you, the English learner, listening right now, maybe your life is complicated too. Maybe you carry things that are heavy. Maybe your path has not been clean or straight. That is okay. That is human. The important thing is that you keep going, that you use whatever gift you have been given, and that you give it honestly with all your heart for as long as you possibly can. Just like Diego. If this story moved you, please leave a comment below. Tell us which part of Maradona's journey touched you the most. Subscribe to Storyline Icons so you never miss a new story. And share this video with someone who needs a little inspiration today. We will see you in the next story. Until then, take care of yourself, keep learning, and remember, the greatest lives are not always the cleanest ones, but they are always the most real.